The Supreme Court has dismissed the appeal by former Vice President and presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, seeking to nullify the February 25 presidential election of President Bola Tinubu. In a unanimous decision, a 7-member panel dismissed Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi's appeals for lacking merit. Arise correspondent Godfrey Eshemoge has more.
There has been so much expectation in the build-up to this point after the election petition court on September 6 dismissed the petition of Atiku Abubakar, a former vice president, and Peter Obi, the man spearheading what is deemed an emerging force in Nigeria's electoral landscape. But neither of the men was present in court on decision day. Some key members of President Bola Tinubu's cabinet were, however, present to monitor proceedings. The Apex Court had initially said there would be no live telecast of the judgment. However, it eventually changed its mind, a last-minute gesture similar to that of the election court that allowed the cameras. Things began to fall apart for Atiku Abubakar when the Apex Court panel, led by Justice Inyang Okoro, dismissed his request to allow the academic records of the Chicago State University meant to establish forgery against President Bola Tinubu. The Apex Court held that it was too late in the day for Atiku Abubakar to seek to introduce new evidence outside of the 180 days stipulated by law, the timeline for hearing election petitions, and on that ground dismissed it for lacking merit. The court dismissed Atiku and Obi's main appeals for lacking in merit, noting they failed to produce alternative presidential election results that showed they won a majority of lawful votes to dismiss the one declared by electoral body INEC. It adds that failure to transmit election results electronically did not affect the outcome. In whether a candidate must poll 25 votes in the FCT, the court holds that it is not a requirement for being declared president. The Apex Court panel affirmed unanimously the position of the lower court on a host of other issues and dismissed both petitions for lacking merit, thus eliciting reactions.
I didn't come with APC crew. And in the court here, I don't know where they said APC and PDP. I came here as somebody who's interested and somebody who wants the country to move forward. So I congratulate Mr. President, and I think that this has come to the end.
This is a developing democracy in a developing nation, so you expect such distractions to occur. But I believe we fine-tune our laws, especially electoral laws, and we believe we shall come to the mature stage that we are expecting.
Even the Supreme Court agreed that non-uploading of the result on IREV reduced the confidence of the people in the election. I heard it clearly, meaning that even the Supreme Court agrees that the election was not credible.
This is the end of a long-drawn legal battle in the race for the Aso Rock Villa. Nigerians have had to wait 8 months to get the sense of finality about who won Nigeria's presidential elections. The Apex Court this Thursday, the 26th of October, has finally declared once and for all Bola Tinubu Nigeria's president. This, perhaps, is time for the president to get to work, while other opposition parties will perhaps plan other strategies ahead of next general elections in 2027. From the Supreme Court, Godfrey Eshemoge, Arise News.
Meanwhile, the leadership of the Labour Party has described the judgment of the Supreme Court as sad. In its view, the judgment has destroyed the fabric of Nigeria's democracy. The party's national chairman, Julius Abure, said the party is shocked and surprised that the Apex Court will toe the line of the September 26 judgment of the Presidential Election Petition Court, despite what it calls the flaws inherent in it. Abure claims that both the legislative and judicial arms of government have been hijacked by the All Progressives Congress. And the People's Democratic Party has also said it is appalled by the judgment. National Publicity Secretary Debo Olugunagba said the party and majority of Nigerians are alarmed, disappointed, and gravely concerned with the Supreme Court's reasoning. The party said with the verdict, the Apex Court has failed Nigerians. Well, now joining us on the program is Mr. Robert Clarke, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, to examine these issues. Good morning, Mr. Clarke. Good to have you on the program. Good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you very well.
Hello.
I'm hearing you.
Good morning, sir. Well, quickly, we've been taking a look at the Supreme Court ruling yesterday. Yes, the Supreme Court ruling yesterday. How sound in law do you consider the ruling of the Supreme Court? And what's your assessment of the conduct of the counsel to the appellants? As some people have pointed out in this matter.
Good morning, Dr. Abati.
Morning.
I must say this morning, I'm really happy hearing from you because you have given a summary that is even running through my heart also. And that the problem with Nigerians is that once we take sides in a matter, we do not allow reason to take over our emotions. The problem in Nigeria, which we face every 4 years, is that election matters in Nigeria will continue to breed all these suspicions and all these schisms. Nigeria is being ruled by a set of laws that govern election petition that do not allow you and I to freely exercise our votes. If the Constitution of Nigeria has endowed and given every Nigerian a right to vote and be voted for, why should the same Constitution now says that for I, Robert Clarke, to be the president of Nigeria, I must belong to a political party? Why should it be that anybody who wants to aspire to be something in the political arena of Nigeria must belong to a political party? The total problem in Nigeria, the question rests with the political parties. They are the problems which we have today that permeates the electoral system. To be a party member in Nigeria, to be a center of a party member in Nigeria, you need to spend a lot of money, lots of money, just to be a party, strong party member. To be able to contest on behalf of a party in Nigeria, you must be ready to spend trillions of naira to be a candidate for governorship, to be a candidate for presidency. If you don't have trillions of naira in Nigeria, you are not near the place. And a simple Robert Clarke cannot even appear before any fora to say he wants to be something. So the problem in Nigeria starts with the political parties. We have allowed the political parties in Nigeria to take over every area of our political life. Every. Without being a member, you can be nothing in the political arena of Nigeria. This is an area we have to look into and we have to stop. I am happy that the hype that we have seen in Nigeria today on this political terrain will continue to show itself up. In 2 years' time, we will start with party primaries. In 3 years' time, we will have party nomination. Everything party, 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 party. We have created the party as the dominant tribe in Nigerian politics. We need to look into that. Also, INEC has its problems. But as I've always said, when you give INEC that power that whatever it does in the process of selecting a candidate is presumed to be correct. When INEC finishes its job, produces its job, whether you like it or not, the law says INEC is correct in whatever it says. So these are the things we have to look into. But I'm happy this morning that the attitude of Nigerians have not changed. When reality is faced by many, many members of the party, the hyping is so much that they throw the realities away. Abati has done a lot this morning. I am so happy with the man. He now analyzed this judgment and shows it clearly that the problem about criticism, problem about this and that, should be laid at the footstep of the lawyers. I am not happy at all. I hate, correcting or chastising senior members of the bar. But what do we have today? 90% of Atiku's woes today are caused by his lawyers. I'm sorry to say this. What they should have done 20 years ago, 15 years ago, they did not do it. What they should have done 30 days ago, they did not do it. Instead, because they have all this easy money to travel to America to collect this and that, they are now bamboozling everybody in Nigeria to show that Atiku has a case. Atiku has never had a case in this matter. He has been, fighting Tinubu for the past 20 years. Is it today he's looking for evidence of fighting? So I'm happy that we have to talk to the lawyers. We make sure that our supporters are not carried away by, propagandas. Now, the question we have now with us, what do we do in Nigeria from now? We have to change the constitution. I'm sorry to say this, without changing the constitution, amending the powers of INEC, and, making sure that Nigeria, make sure that the elections adhere strictly to the laws. We will always have this problem every 4 years. We will come back to be fighting each other on nothing. And in that process, we are making the politicians happy. Not only the politicians, you are making we, the lawyers, also happy, because as I always said, this is the harvest time for us lawyers. But that does not mean that because it is the harvest time for all lawyers, then we take advantage of that. We push politicians, to take up cases. As I'm talking today, only God knows how many pre-election matter cases are before the courts. All this will not be resolved for the next 6 months, for the next 1 year. Another cycle starts again, and the politicians are gathering their money to throw around. So I'm really, really happy that this election has shown that the law is the law, and that there is no way you can manipulate the law. No way.
All right.
And I'm happy our judges have shown the dexterity in determining what the law says. Thank you, Mr. Abati. I praise you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Clarke. And as you mentioned, the law is the law. And so you raised some very salient points around some areas that we must begin to, perhaps there's some form of reform that's needed. You talk about the Constitution, you talk about the Electoral Act, a few things that must be tweaked here and there. And of course, it's open to review again and again. However, I'd like you to speak to, because you talk about the fact that, people are overtaken by emotions in some cases, but this trust in the judiciary and why there has been what could be described as an increasing distrust of the institution of the process of law, and hence beyond just sentiments as to whom people supported, is the fact that people don't have full confidence in some instances in the process of justice in Nigeria. Number one is, why is this so? And then how can we begin to fix it so that we inspire more confidence in the transparency, fairness and equity of the justice system in Nigeria?
Politics or election matters all over the world are full of controversies. If there are no controversies, then politics is not available to the people. living there. So let us be honest with ourselves. You cannot remove controversies from politics and all these things. The problem is that the law must be so clear. If the law is clear and there are no manipulators around that law, everybody will be clear, happy that whatever happens, nobody is going to manipulate the law. Let us be honest with ourselves. Nigerians, and we cannot say we are not a peaceful country. We are. What we have passed through within the last 6 months in Nigeria political listing shows that we are a peaceful, because any other country with the background we have will have gone haywire in many areas. What I am going to say is this. The problem is in all of us that we are Nigerians. We are the crooks, we are the saviors, and that it is our attitude to many things in Nigeria that dictates. For instance, there was no need for a big hype in this last election that nearly turned many corners of Nigeria into a battleground. There was no need for it. But I will not say it is the cause of the lawyers. When politicians have amassed so much money within 4 years of their tenure, they are ready to listen to any opinion of any chicken lawyer and says, oh, you have a case, you have a case. Because it beats my mind how any lawyer in Nigeria today will ask Tinubu to come and show his certificate at the time they were asking him to come and show it. A matter that has been dealt with 400 times, different forums. You are now making a hype of it now. Spending money, sending witnesses to America. It's because Nigerian system allows you to make all this money to throw away. And your lawyers will start telling you lies. I don't see how a lawyer can tell Atiku that a matter he did not raise in the Court of Appeal, which is the court of first instance, and is now going to the Supreme Court, which is an appellate court. The Supreme Court is not a court of first instance. It is an appellate court. And now we'll come to Atiku and tell him, oh, you have a case. My son discovered that Tinubu did not attend university, or he forged. At this time that the case was on, and you accepted to bring all the money, send witnesses to America. No. You see, that is the problem in Nigeria. We have access to quick money. We have access to stolen money. So we are ready to spend it. And that is what is happening. And if we do not take time, we cannot stop it, except we change the electoral law, we change the constitution, we change the way and manner INEC officials are being appointed, and many things. We will find that there will be no trouble. So I am not saying that we should not quarrel during the election time. A country that does not quarrel or hype, look at America today. The scenario in America shows you that Trump, is having problem. His other parties are having problem. But these are part of the American life.
Okay,
it
Mr.
is
Clarke.
a circle that...
Okay, finish your thoughts, sir. Go ahead, sir. Finish your thoughts, sir. About Trump, sir.
No, go on.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for your submission. And you've said a lot of things this morning. So how can we start to change those laws that makes it almost impossible? Because when you even look, it's not only now. There's never been a presidential election that has ever been upturned in Nigeria. It goes way back even to 79. There's never been an election. Chief Obafemi Awolowo tried. Almost impossible. Little wonder the politicians are so quick to say go to court, because they know it's a problem of the burden of proof. Number one, how do we change it? Secondly, you talked a lot, sir, about Atiku Abubakar. And I'd like to put another point of view. Are you saying that Atiku Abubakar should not have gone to do what he did in America, even if he couldn't file within the time frame of the law? Even if he couldn't file within the time frame of the law, are you saying it's not good for public conversation? Are you saying it's not good for us to know now that a document hitherto presented was not authenticated by the issuing body? Because you are saying he ought to have done this 20 years ago and that the case had been settled in many forums. Can you expatiate more on that area?
Look, Atiku has been involved in Nigerian politics for as long as 20 years now, that I know. As an ally of Tinubu, as an enemy of Tinubu, whatever area you look at it, they have been in different sides. Is he just knowing about Tinubu? No. Why is it a man of his status who has been involved in political matters will allow a lawyer to come to him now that the question of forgery, the question of this, can still be brought at the Supreme Court level? No. I blame him. And why do I blame him? They have bastardized the election tribunal in Nigeria, where they believe they can bribe lawyers, they can bribe magistrates, they can bribe this, they can. So that has been ingrained in our character as Nigerians. I, Robert Clarke, will not take a brief from Atiku. If he had brought that brief to me, I would have told him that there is no merit in it. The Supreme Court will not hear you because the matter you want me to go and show the Supreme Court on your behalf cannot be sustained. I will tell him. I will not, because of the millions he's going to give me, start running around him to give me a brief that no, I know will never succeed. So I blame Atiku. And this is the problem in Nigeria. And why do I blame him? Atiku is so rich that he doesn't care about how he spends his money again. And where did he get all this money from? Is it not from politics? Is it not the same Atiku I knew about 30 years ago? It's the same thing. You see, the problem now is that the problem is in the system that allows so much money to flow into the hands of politicians. We therefore have to look in the system. If we look at the system and we make sure that we do not give rooms where anybody can manipulate another person and start pretending that what is correct is not correct or what is not correct is correct. Please, let us look at our laws. Once we correct our laws, like this party.
How do we correct our laws,
where all this corruption starts.
How do we correct step-by-step approach
our
to
laws,
correcting these laws to make elections better? What should we do, sir?
Okay, let me tell you. In Nigeria today, we cannot correct electoral law. I can tell you that when we continue to say we are correcting, we are joking. What we are talking today, look, 8 years ago, in your studio there, you asked me to come and talk about Atiku's chances at the Supreme, and I told you he will never win. If I had the same opportunity, I would have told you what he was carrying to the Supreme Court. It's a daylight dream, and he will lose. I would have told you that, but how many lawyers will tell him when he's dangling before them millions of naira? Just go there. We know how to do it. Nigeria is so spoiled. If we have a law that allows you and I to participate effectively in politics, we wouldn't allow these rascals in the political parties to be dominating everything. It is the party that controls Nigeria in politics. It is the party. If you are not in a party, you won't have mouth to talk. So we can control the laws. But in Nigeria today, we cannot control it. Why do I say so? The people who are going to amend the Constitution, the Electoral Act, they are all the people who are enjoying the privileges. It has to be approved by the National Assembly. It has to go to the state assemblies. It has to go to, where do we get the reforms? It's not possible in Nigeria.
Well, Mr. Clarke.
Telling you.
If
we are not careful, this same song. What?
No, I wanted you to react to one technical point. The Supreme Court said most of the witnesses who appeared for the appellants at the Presidential Election Court, Petition Court, the tribunal, that they gave inadmissible hearsay evidence. But one area of worry is that subpoenaed witnesses should have their evidence front-loaded. How does that advance the cause of justice? Because that has caused some controversy. If the Supreme Court now says all of that has to be front-loaded.
If you listen very well.
Yes.
If you listen very well, Dr. Abati, Supreme Court was hammering on jurisdiction, jurisdiction, jurisdiction. A good lawyer, that is the first area he looks into. When you ask him and you procure evidence for him to come and use, he has to look whether an appellate court can take up this matter. It's not, I don't know how to put it. It's not ABC you get in your kindergarten class. No. Jurisdiction is the bedrock of every law. And Supreme Court said it yesterday. You cannot ask me to build something on nothing. I don't have the power. What you are asking me to do, I do not have the power. Should the lawyer not have known that? Based on the experience of the lawyers they have brought, that, Supreme Court is not an original court, but an appellate court. No matter how you bring all your witnesses, as Yorubas will say, Odongbo Duru. 0 over 0 is 0. So I agree with you, Abaji. Honestly, I agree with you. But we cannot change this system. I don't know why we cannot change it all. The people who are to change it are the people who are benefiting from it. And they will never change it. They will never change it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your insights this morning, Mr. Robert Clarke, SAN.